All right, so we're back with Gantar Enterprise and the price tag of leadership. This is part three. This is actually one of those really interesting ones because it just continues to have layers. So we're just going to dive right in and have some fun, if you want to call it that. So when we're talking about going into leadership and how it's supposed to really benefit us, but then people are trying to figure, well, what is the price to it? See, here's the thing. It all starts with accountability, and that's what sparks growth. As you can see, it doesn't matter where you're at, it only determines your outcome by where you want to go. How do you want to pursue that? What does these next steps look like? You have to be able to do a few things because, as you can see in this illustration here, this picture, you see someone who's humbly kind of going into like the unknown, this big futuristic beast, if you want to call it that. So it all begins with identify with someone who models a trait that you want to possess. You see, you have to look at someone who actually has results in their life in that area that you want to pursue, that you want to acquire. You don't just go after anybody. So you almost have to essentially do a vetting type of a process to say, okay, I want to try and just dial it in. Okay, so what is very prevalent in their results in the area of life where I want to seek those kind of results. And then that journey just begins. It doesn't mean that they're going to continuously just, oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to help you and that's it. No, like there's a lot of other moving parts that are actually going to have to be dealt with or hurdles that you're going to have to navigate through. Okay. And then maybe you might be lucky to have the opportunity to build that type of relationship, that mentor mentee type of relationship. You have to be willing to also ask them to hold you accountable. So is everyone and anyone that you're going to be wanting to pursue, are they actually going to hold you accountable? Are they actually going to be willing to be straight with you? It's very difficult to find that these days. The other thing is accountability turns intention into disciplined action. So when you're able to say, yeah, I want to be disciplined in this area, you have to be willing to be accountable. So when accountability comes into that, then all of a sudden you're dialed in, you're able to do it repetitively. A disciplined action isn't just a one time thing, it is something that continues to go in. So, in order to have that accountability and that discipline, it all has to kind of correlate in moving together. So, where does it all begin? Yeah, it starts in your morning mindset. And this matters. Why? Because it's just spending 15 minutes each morning on a focused goal where you're actually like, hey, this is a weakness of mine, a weakness area of mine. Where am I able to go? How am I able to do this? Where are the areas today that I know I can actually really improve on my area of weakness? Just spend 15 minutes a day. Okay, this is what my day is going to look like from now until, say, midday. And then from there, you can kind of move forward. So use this time to set intentions and estimate and eliminate distractions. So just try and really dial that in. Clarity leads to control. So if you're able to actually see what you want to achieve just in these small snippets of the day, then you're going to have a lot more clarity, maybe a lot more direction, and then you're going to be able to navigate through the distractions in life that could potentially derail you. Okay. And then you're like, okay, is that really something that I think I can just do? Well, it doesn't even end there. In fact, it only starts there. A midday check-in, trying to figure out exactly like, okay, am I actually where I need to be? Is this where I'm actually heading? And it all starts in just taking a 5 minutes at midday and assess your alignment. Am I actually going in the direction? Did I actually accomplish the things that I wanted to do? Am I able to continue to move forward in a direction where I'm able to say, the rest of the day looks great because the morning is set up so well that it's just now I'm able to assess things? Or do I have to reassess things? Do I have to make adjustments? Do I have to actually say no to a few things in the afternoon because I wasn't able to actually get things done in the morning that I would like to? So, yeah, assessing your actions, matching your priorities. Are they actually aligning and actually going in the right direction to where you want to actually head to? These are very, very small, but very large outcome based things that even just a small tweak, 1 or 2 degrees over the course of, say, a 60 or 90 or 120 period, you know, can make an extremely different outcome. So, small adjustments equal big course corrections. So, what that means is you're coming into just making a few smaller adjustments. So instead of like taking a wrecking ball and just blasting through, okay, I'm just gonna like remove this, I'm gonna cut that, cut this. No, you're just okay, I'm gonna dial this in, dial that in, you know, navigate these areas in a way where I'm able to continuously navigate them in a way where it's just a couple of small minor tweaks. Then all of a sudden you have some big course corrections, which means these small minor tweaks, over a course of time, boom, you got some major, major wins. Okay. So what does this also reflect on? Evening reflection. Again, you're like, wow, I'm reflecting again. Yes, you're reflecting again. You want to know why? Because you want to make sure that you're actually on track to what you're trying to achieve. And how long does it take? Just a few minutes. Like go to the water. As you're like going to the washroom, you're like, what am I dealing with? And then you can go through your list. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this, I got that. I was able to achieve this. I was able to achieve that. That's how you're able to actually navigate through a full day. And it's just in small snippets of time, enabling a reflection moment. That's it. There's just not a long laundry list of, okay, am I going to be doing this? Am I going to be doing that? How's this going to work? How's that going to work? Just snip it through and off you go. Reflect. What did I do well? What needs improvement? When I look through the progression of today, was it awesome? Was it something that I just couldn't resist? And I just fell short in that area. Well, that's okay. So, what were the warning signs leading up to that? Did I go this way instead of that way? Did I do this thing a little bit more and allowing that meeting or that conversation or that interaction last a little bit longer than I intended it to, which got out of control and I lost, track of time. So daily reflection breeds self-awareness. In order for you to actually understand where you're at, you got to be aware. This is where you're able to be aware and having these situational circumstances in place so that you're able to assess them on a not a quarterly, but almost in like two halves, and then in an evening and on a third end of the day, and saying, yeah, okay, I can achieve this, I can do that. It's we're doing okay. So everything takes time. You got to have a 60-day rule. Okay. And that's how that's going to roll. And you're going to continue on progressing in this one area for 60 days. Why? Because it takes time for you to actually navigate these minor shifts. And sometimes it might actually not come until over day 50 in those last 10 days where you're like, okay, this is the one small shift that I have to make. And I'm going to be good in understanding how fail proof when I go through my day and how I'm able to just achieve certain things. I'm just going to be able to do it so well. A habit transformation takes time. Don't think you're going to be able to execute this in a week or a month. Maybe it even takes you 3 months. Regardless of how long it takes, you're working on it. Just don't give up. That's one thing that many people do is they get so close and they just dial off and they're thinking, okay, so where did I go wrong? Hey, how's this happening? I cannot bring on not one, but I can bring on many examples where even to myself, I'm like, oh, I'm so close, but then I just fell short so far. So don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever think that it's too long of a distance away where you're like, okay, I just don't know what's going on. I just don't know how this is going to happen. Just execute, 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 execute. Deep focus builds lasting change. So when you're doing these times of incremental focus, really assess on it. Be dialed in on focusing. Okay, this is how. Okay, that's, and you can almost kind of see things aligning so that you're able to say, okay, this is what a perfect day looks like. That's all we're concentrating on, is just getting a really productive day. And then once you get a couple of those in place, then you got a really productive week. And then once you get a series of those, then it's a productive month. Get a series of those and you got a productive quarter. You get a series of those and you got a productive year. And it could take you many years to get to that point, but regardless, when you're counting down the days, it's not going to take long for everything just to kind of idiosync itself and be positioned where like, this person is just dialed right in. It's just day in and day out, and they just can like execute and execute and execute and execute. Okay, so that's where everything kind of comes in on the 60-day rule. It all starts right here. It could be a 30 and 90 or 120 days. It doesn't matter. We're just using 60 days as a general guideline. So but you got to remember, you got to celebrate the wins. You can't let things just come by and, okay, that was great, so whatever. No, like, you got to celebrate these wins. These wins are very, 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 very important. Okay, you have to celebrate your success with your accountability partner. Why? Because it's a win for both of you. You're winning because of the way how things are kind of looking. Your accountability partner is actually winning because they're thinking, okay, now I'm actually able to help somebody, and they're actually able to achieve certain results. So remember, never forget to reinforce positive behavior through recognition. You have to reinforce this over and over again. Sometimes maybe it could be something like, holy geez, like, it's kind of getting old. But you know what? Here's the thing. In certain seasons, in a series of events, reinforcing that positive behavior through recognition could be a key moment that could actually help someone solidify that right in the middle of that 60-day or near the end or just past that 60-day time period of when we're trying to put in a good solid habit. Okay, so real leadership is built on consistency and engagement. That's the one thing that people like, oh, this is great. I have great consistency, but then are they actually encouragement following behind that? Are they encouraging those and engaged in the people that they're actually trying to like? Are they actually like saying things, hey, I just want to hear more. Like, tell me more about this. This seems like a really interesting, satisfying event for you, or comforting and experience. Like, if someone's experiencing great turmoil and major discomfort, and you just have to understand the curiosity approach. Tell me more. How does that work? Where is this coming from? Wow, that must have been very impactful. And then on the other sense, you can actually probably use that to better develop the foundation of that relationship. It also, unfortunately, could be used in manipulating or being in a destructive. So be very careful on this, on who you allow into your life, on who you allow to actually influence you, and who actually is giving you, I would say, information that you would take that information and then base it on a decision. I would try and get at least 3 or 4 different types of sources, different perspectives, and then go from there. And then you still might not even fall into that category of doing exactly what one person said. Okay, so is it ever too late? No, you can start now. It's never too late. See, all worthwhile men have good intentions, good ideas, and good intentions, but precious few. And when we say precious few, it just means not just a small percentage, but it'd be like numbered out of 100, maybe 1 or 2. So that'd be like a precious few of them ever translate those into action. So just be mindful that you could have all the intentions in the world, all the good thoughts, ideas, and all these things, but if you don't actually put it into action, it's all for nothing. As right from John Hancock Field. Okay, so action bridges the gap between dreams and reality. Like, well, how is this like actually going to happen? just act on it. It's a blind faith. I've been on this journey for, you know, years now, blind faith, trying to achieve things and do things. And it's just like one thing or another is just blown and tossed all over the place. Just don't give up. So the best time to lead yourself is now. Don't let that go. Don't let yourself fall through the cracks, because it's never too late. Some progression or some type of result is better than nothing. You got to remember that, because sometimes the accidental shifts and changes in your life could lead to some of the greatest results near the end of your life. Don't ever take that for granted. Every day is a gift. That's why it's called a present. So humble leadership, looks can be intimidating, but I'm going to guarantee you one thing. It all depends on the execution. See, great leaders never place themselves above their followers. It all comes down to responsibility. They excel by owning responsibility and modeling action. See, here's the thing. How many times have you heard, do as I say, not as I do? Well, that's really not making any sense. Like, are you kidding me? How's that going to benefit? Like, what? I can't be able to achieve certain things if I'm only, because here's the other aspect of that saying. Your actions are speaking so loud, I can't hear a word that you're saying. See, many people just like, oh, I can't believe this, I can't believe that. Well, believe it, because that's what you're essentially welcoming into your life. So influence grows not from service, not from status. So it doesn't matter where a person is in the organization. If they're not able to actually be accessible, it means nothing. Like, that's great. I'm sure all you're looking for, if I was in a position where like there's someone, talking or whatever, and they weren't really very accessible, then I'd be like, you know what? Chances are pretty good that that person talking is literally just thinking of their paycheck. It's like crazy. Consistency over comfort. You have to always, always, always take consistency, even when it's most discomforting. Okay. Believe it or not, I got an image, and I'm like, after a young woman runs a marathon or is running a marathon, and this is what I got. This is what AI gave me. I'm like, well, she's got kind of messy hair. I don't know. But anyways, success isn't just doing what you love. It's consistently doing what you must. See, that's the difference. If you're going to be doing something, it's one thing to know, okay, I'm going to do these things and try and achieve it. But then how are you actually going to be able to achieve it consistently? Because you must do these things. You must achieve a certain milestone. You have to do it consistently, even on the rainy days, the cold days, the uncomfortable days. Discipline in discomfort separates average from exceptional. That right there should say it all. Is basically coming down to consistency in as the separator. This is leadership right here. If you're disciplined in an area of your life and you're like, man, this is just brutal, I can't find this, I just don't want to do it. Well, this is where the exceptional separate themselves from average. So here's my final thought, and I thought this is pretty wild. Leadership begins with self-mastery. I look at the Japanese samurai and I'm like, I think that's a pretty good example of that, because they achieved some pretty wild things when they were really in full force. So, or when they are in full force, I should say. Start small, stay consistent, stay accountable. And by then, I'm pretty confident that you're going to be able to achieve more than what you've imagined in that 60-day period. And then you go on to the next one, on the next area where you're thinking, okay, I chose 5, I got 1 down. And you break it down, guess what? Over the course of a year, you could have some pretty significant changes and developments within yourself. So with that all being said, the price tag of leadership is paid daily. And from that price, we're going to see you on the price tag of leadership part 4 next week, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, work hard, stay humble.